Thank you for allowing me this time to commemorate our brave soldiers this Memorial Day. I am honored to be able to share a few words. On May 30th, 1868, the first Decoration Day was declared by General John Logan, and it was observed at the Arlington National Cemetery. This first Decoration Day was a tribute to the almost 500,000 soldiers that died during the Civil War conflict. It was called Decoration Day because family and friends of fallen soldiers would come together and decorate the graves of soldiers with flowers and wreaths. Decoration Day was renamed Memorial Day in 1971 by Richard M. Nixon, and it became a national day of awareness to respect and honor all Americans that have died in the service of our country. Many men and women over the years have given the ultimate sacrifice to defend these United States. And if we add up all the soldiers that have lost their lives since the Revolutionary War, the total would be close to the population of the state of Maine. Memorial Day is more than a remembrance to those who have perished, but also to those who have served and those who are in service. Riverside has a proud history of answering the call when our country is in need, and on May 31st, we will come together to honor those men and women at the Gold Star Memorial in Guthrie Park. This memorial was dedicated to the men whose names are etched in bronze on the boulders at the base of the flagpole, the Riverside 54. We shall honor these men and all men and women who stand, serve, and sacrifice for our freedom. Again, I'm honored to be part of this celebration and look forward to seeing many of you on Memorial Day at our Gold Star Memorial. Thank you.
Good morning once again. Lamar? My name is Tom Sisselak. I'm the director of today's program, and I would like to thank all of the veterans here today, as well as the families, for attending today's Memorial Day program here in Riverside. It is our goal to develop this program as an entire family event, focused primarily on recognizing and honoring the Riverside 54, the young men from Riverside who were killed in combat. Also to recognize all of today's military veterans as well as present active military. The other main focus is to teach the children the true meaning of Memorial Day in America. I would like to invite the Scout Troop 24 to come forward with the color guard.
Please stand if you are able and remove your hats for the presentation of the colors and the singing of the national anthem. Color guard, attention. Color guard, forward march.
You're going to lead the Pledge of Allegiance after we get up here.
Color guard, post the colors. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the singing of the national anthem.
Before these young ladies begin, I would like to introduce them. Katie Kulodin, want to raise your hand? Tess Obachowski and Haley Rayfield. These three ladies have been singing at our Memorial Day program for the past 4 years in a row. Katie actually started as an 8th grader, and they will be traveling across the country to their universities this fall. But maybe we can recruit them when they are in college, if their schedule permits, to return on Memorial Day.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleam? broad stripes and bright stars, through the perilous fight, o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets wreaking, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Please take your seats. Color guard, return to ranks.
Next, I would like to introduce Command Sergeant Major Frank Gressick from the United States Army, retired. Come up, Frank. Frank is going to read a story about Riverside's Command Sergeant Major Frank Gressick is going to read a story about Riverside's honored veteran for this year's Memorial Day program. He is Second Lieutenant Harold J. Katora, World War II, B-51 dive bomber pilot, and also escort for the B-17 bombers and B-25 bombers. Unfortunately, sadly, he crossed over into heaven just 9 months ago on August 12th, 2020, at the age of 97. So we will begin with the information about his military career.
Thank you, Tom. Second Lieutenant Harold J. Hal Katora, World War II, U.S. Army Air Corps, 339th Fighter Group. This research was done by Coach Tom Sisselak and is written in the first person. Hal Katora began his World War II military service during his early 20s, with basic training followed by Army Air Corps fighter pilot flight school. It was my personal honor to visit with Hal Katora in his Riverside home on Selborne Road, as well as several phone conversations during the past couple of decades. His daughter, Kim Katora, was a Riverside public school classmate of mine since the 6th grade. On many occasions, when I visited with Second Lieutenant Hal Katora, I would invite Hal to the Riverside Honored Veterans and annual Riverside Memorial Day program. However, Hal would always respectfully decline the Riverside honor. He preferred to be honored alone and not singled out as a historic fighter pilot with service of the 505th Fighter Squadron. Second Lieutenant Hal Katora was a select, intelligent, and talented fighter pilot with the famous World War II 339th Fighter Group. Located at the U.S. Army Air Corps Station number Foxtrot 378 in Falmere, England on April 1994 until October 1945. Hal has many talents. He's a talented team pilot of the Mustang P-51 dive bombers, and he would take off and return to grass runways on the Manor Farm in Falmere, England. Their combat assignments included flying as a fighter escort to the B-17 bomber missions into Nazi Germany. As a member of the second lieutenant, was assigned to the 505th Fighter Squadron. Also flying dive bomber missions into hostile Nazi military weapons factories. Second Lieutenant Hal Katora was assigned to the 505th Fighter Squadron. 3 fighter squadrons, the 503rd, the 504th, and the 505th, combined together to become the famous P-51 fighters of the 339th Fighter Group out of England. Somehow, as a talented young pilot, Hal Katora and his fellow pilots managed to successfully complete 264 combat missions into Germany. They destroyed 680 Nazi enemy aircrafts. The President of the United States presented the 339th Fighter Group with the World War II Presidential Citation of Honor and Award Medal for protecting Americans' freedom. Needless to say, Second Lieutenant Hal Katora lost many buddies and fellow pilots during those 264 combat missions. Following the end of Hal's military service, he married Elaine Kalovoda, moved to Riverside, Illinois, and raised their daughter Kim and their son Hal Jr. Second Lieutenant Hal Katora was a talented artist and painted many P-51 fighter planes and B-17 bombers with the distinctive World War II patriotic, beautiful young lady portraits. Second Lieutenant Hal Katora was a very successful career in Chicagoland artist. He recently crossed over into heaven on August 12, 2020, at the age of 97 years. Truly a Riverside World War II hero. Thank you, Sergeant Gressick. If I could have Scout John Murphy and the Scouts come forward, we're going to hand out some thank you cards, which were handcrafted by the Riverside Girl Scouts and Riverside Brownie Scouts. So if you're a veteran, please raise your hand and we will bring you a handcrafted thank you card. Hand a card to each veteran. Just go around to the audience right now. Hand out some cards.
All right.
Every veteran that's got their hand up, give them a card.
So here, if you guys want to go on that side, that's it. If you guys want to go on that side. All right. You're gonna go here.
If the veterans would please raise their hand. Once again, these cards were handcrafted by the Riverside Girl Scout troop. Once again, these cards were handcrafted by the Riverside Girl Scouts and Riverside Brownie Scouts.
The next part of our program is actually some information that many Riverside residents, as well as visitors here today, probably are not aware of, but today is actually the 100th anniversary of this Gold Star Memorial. It was so this site right behind me, the flagpole and the 4 small stones with brass plaques, were actually dedicated 100 years ago in the month of May 1921. And the committee that put this site together, so to speak, was comprised of the family members of the 3 Riverside boys who were killed in World War I, along with their teachers and along with their friends in the village of Riverside. This site was actually the concluding location for a parade which was held in May of 1921, and the parade started at the Riverside Grammar School, which now we call Central School. And the next time you're at the Riverside Central School, the flagpole in front of the school is identical to this flagpole. The parade started at their flagpole, came through the village, and assembled here at what was known as Riverside Community Park. Now it's known as Guthrie Park. The stones that contain the 3 names are accompanied by a 4th stone, which is to your right in the far corner. That stone has a plaque which commemorates all American World War I soldiers who were killed in combat. The 3 soldiers from Riverside who were killed in combat are at the other 3 stones. The one here to my right, your left, is dedicated to one of the very first Illinois Army soldiers who actually was killed in World War I. His name, Reverend Hedley Heber Cooper, was killed on May 26th, 1918. And there's quite a bit of information about Reverend Cooper, but a short summary: he actually tried to enlist in the Army, but they wouldn't take him because of some medical conditions. He was already a chaplain for the YMCA through the Episcopal Church. He grew up in the parsonage right next to the Riverside Episcopal Church, and the Chicago YMCA sent him to the battlefront in France. When he arrived, his commanding officer said, "Well, since you're here, you're going to be automatically promoted to a captain and chaplain in the Army." So he got to be in the Army after all. Sadly, while he was tending to several of the soldiers in the fortified trenches in France, a German chemical weapon exploded, and all of the soldiers he was attending to, plus he himself, were killed instantly in the trenches in France. The second World War I veteran was Private Albert Edward Moore. He was killed on July 19th, 1918, United States Marine Infantry, killed on the battlefield, and he is presently and still will forever be buried at the Osny-Issany Military American Cemetery in France. The third World War I soldier, Sergeant James P. Quinn, died on February 4th, 1919, and these 3 stones commemorate those 3 from World War I. The large boulder directly to the east behind me was placed here following World War II. The large bronze plaque contains the 3 World War I names, and then it contains also 44 names of Riverside boys who rode their bikes, went sledding at Swan Pond. They were killed during World War II. If you take that number, 44, and you look at the length of the war that United States was involved with, that averages out to almost one funeral every month for the entire length of World War II. The plaque to the south, or to the right of the stone, contains 5 names of Riverside boys who were killed in Korea. There's another plaque on the north side of the large stone that contains the name of 2 Riverside boys. I call them boys, but they actually became men overnight. And those 2 Vietnam veterans were my high school classmates. That total comprises the Riverside 54. During World War I, the commanding general was John J. Pershing, and he stated that time will not dim the glory of their deeds. Once again, he stated, time will not dim the glory of their deeds. General Pershing was successful in developing the final strategy, which was to move 600,000 American World War I soldiers into the dense woods of Argonne, and that deadly fighting continued for 47 consecutive days. But with the efforts, the combat of the French and the Americans, that finally broke the spirit of the Germans, who then surrendered on November 11th at 11 a.m., which is now what we call Veterans Day. So that's a brief history of this site. Following the program, if you'd like to come up and look at the names, touch their names on the plaques, you're welcome to do that. There's one young lady here, Kathleen Bowman Diantino. Where's Kathleen? There she is, right behind, right next to the speaker. If she's holding her arm up. Kathleen Bowman Diantino. Her father, Dave, is among the World War II killed in action. And his name is on the plaque, the large plaque. And she told me that when she was a young girl in Riverside schools, following each day of school, she would walk past the plaque and rub on her father's name. So thank you, Kathleen, for being here today. Are the 3 Girl Scouts close by? The Singer girls, if they would come up, please. Katie, Haley, and Tess. Before they sing, I would like them to take the flower bouquets that are on this table, and if you would place each one flower bouquet on the top of each of the 5 stones with the plaques. So you can each pick up 1 or 2. One on the large boulder and the others on the single corner boulders. And they have another very patriotic song for us. Go up a little closer to that mic as well.
Oh, beautiful for skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea.
Thank you, ladies. Beautiful.
Thank you.
The next part of our program will be the reading of the honor roll call. We will read each name of the Riverside 54, and the people I call up will be reading one page, approximately 9 names. Following the end of that page, we will have Scout Wilson. Where's Scout Wilson? Wilson can come forward. So following the reading of each page, Wilson will ring the brass Navy bell one time, very loud. And our first reader is Staff Sergeant Greg Saganich, United States Army.
Soldiers from Riverside, Illinois, who were killed in action protecting our personal freedom and the freedom of the United States of America. From World War I, Albert Edward Moore, James P. Quinn, Reverend Hedley Heber Cooper. From World War II, Donald Arthur Abel, Richard K. Babbitt, Bruce O. Bigger, Otto C. Blechschmidt, George D. Bohatti, Dave C. Bowman, Paul Brennan.
The second page by Command Sergeant Major Frank Gressick.
World War II continued. Curtis Buran, Mark W. Castle, James F. Aikman, Trevor A. Edward, Robert W. Ingleton, Robert H. Fenley, James H. Green, Arno M. Hess, James H. Hosgood, John J. Janovic.
The next reader is a special guest we have here today, Army General John Fascia.
Continuing World War II, Richard Cheka, Bert T. Kruger, Francis J. Lastina, Robert A. Lazolte, Donald C. Lundgren, Homer C. McDonald, Robert H. McFarland, Frank J. Mansell, Harry P. Martini, Thomas McHugh.
Page 4, Troop 24, Scoutmaster Tom Hartwig.
World War II continued. Jerry G. Mikan, Harold C. Miller, William Munson, William Oldacre Jr., Keith A. Orsinger, Francis P. Parker, George S. Proxa, Richard Rogers, John Rookus.
Page 5, Mrs. Diane Saragoli. Her husband was a Marine for many years.
Thank you. World War II continued. Thomas R. Schluter, John N.D. Smith, Edward Spretsma, Jack E. Thatcher, Graham Trevor, Elmer Yerlich, John T. Warner, and Merle F. Wolf.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is the mic still on? Okay. The final page is going to be read by a newly minted officer, Second Lieutenant William Flaherty. Come forward. Lieutenant Flaherty was commissioned in the United States Marine Corps as a second lieutenant just 4 days ago, May 26th, at the U.S. Air Force Academy. At the U.S. Air Force Academy. You might remember 5 years ago he was the color guard announcer for Troop 24, and he definitely has the strong military voice to become a Marine officer.
From the Korean War, James J. Anderle, Jr., David M. Barrett, Edward V. Pladick, William Leonard, Edward Clark Sachs. From the Vietnam War, John W. Bezekny, Donald Pratt.
Those are the names of the Riverside 54. Their names are on the plaques right behind me. And when you have opportunities to visit this park throughout the year, please stop by and provide a silent prayer for any of these Riverside 54. The next part of the program is going to be our Navy wreath ceremony. Kay Sordell, is she here? Kay Sordell is the talented artisan who has handcrafted this Navy wreath, and it's all biodegradable. We are going to take this wreath to the Des Plaines River. It's going to be in honor and remembrance of Riverside 54 from the Navy, Marines, also pilots who were killed in combat and buried at sea. The wreath is going to be carried by Sergeant Gressick, Sergeant Saganich, and Lieutenant Flaherty. They will be followed by the scouts. We'll take a minute for them to carry the wreath to the river. When they return, then we will have the rifle salute by U.S. Marine Thomas Day, followed by the playing of taps. So if Sergeant Gressick, Sergeant Saganich, and Lieutenant Flaherty would come forward, you can hand them the wreath. When you get down to the river, you might have to use a frisbee throw to get it in the water and then just come back up. When you return, I will have you give a salute to Tom Day, the U.S. Marine. He's going to fire 3 rounds, and I'll get him situated. Okay, you may begin. We are waiting for the 3 veterans to return. The firing of the M1 World War II rifle behind you is United States Marine Tom Day, 81 years old. He's the founder of Bugles Across America. He's using a World War II M1 rifle, which is going to be quite loud. Keep in mind, this is one rifle. And the battlefield has hundreds, if not thousands, of rifles and artillery. The additional information that I can mention regarding the first name on the World War II, Donald Arthur Abel. He was a junior grade lieutenant in the United States Navy, one of the commanders of the submarine, the Bonefish. They successfully destroyed many Japanese submarines, Japanese troop ships, Japanese transport ships. 2 weeks before the end of World War II, sadly, his submarine, the Bonefish, was exploded, and he, along with his crew, are buried in that submarine at the bottom of the Sea of Japan. This is the wreath that commemorates he himself, along with other Americans buried at sea. Tom is going to proceed up here to the Gold Star Memorial. He is going to play taps, and he has recruited thousands of veterans as well as citizens to play taps with a live bugle or live trumpet at military cemeteries. He is the founder, I believe this is year number 21,
of his Bugles Across America Foundation.
Tom has quite a collection of trumpets at his Bugles Across America Museum, which is right next door in Berwyn. And he has invited all of you to a cookout after today's program at the museum if you'd like to attend. He also has a very rare trumpet that was played during Abraham Lincoln's funeral. I would like the three Girl Scouts, Katie, Haley, and Tess, to come forward for our concluding music presentation.
Country's battles in the air, on land and sea. First to fight for right and freedom, and to keep our honor clean. We are proud to claim the title of United States Marines. Away, my boys, anchors away. Farewell to college joys, we sail at break of day, 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 day. Through our last night on shore, drink to the full. Until we meet once more, here's wishing you a happy voyage home. fight and die. Aye, Coast Guard, we are for you.
Get some pictures of you ladies after the program. Thank you very much. Fantastic.
Let's have another round of applause for these three talented Riverside Brookfield High School seniors, honor students as well as honor Girl Scouts. The opportunity for you to come up and take pictures by the flags or by the Gold Star Memorial plaques following the program. I would also like to remember for all of you to enjoy every day of freedom in America. And if you have military in your family, perhaps you might call them and thank them as well. I would like to thank everybody for attending today and hope that you enjoyed today's patriotic program. Thank you again.